right, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing here today? Hey, I am Ann Eller, and we have City Manager Charlie Barrineau sitting down across from me this afternoon. How you doing there, Charlie?
I'm doing great, Ann. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to have you sit down and bring us an update on what is going on in uptown Greenwood. Well, actually, in the city of Greenwood.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
We seem to concentrate on uptown, but it is a whole city.
We do, but very proud of everything that's going on. You know, as I drove over here, you know, the Jeff May complex drove right by. It was bustling with activity on the track. They're getting ready for a softball game, so spring's here. It's exciting times in the city.
Well, it is time. If ever there is going to be a spring coming, it better get started here.
Yes. I think we've had enough of winter and rain and yuck.
Yeah,
so.
It's just like I just found out that daylight savings time starts this weekend.
That's right.
They haven't really been advertising this fact, I don't think.
Time to get out in your yard, start cleaning, and getting ready for spring.
I think everybody has been trying to get out in their yards. It's just the weather's been so bad.
That's right.
Now, how about with all this cleanup, just to talk about that, how is that coming with the city and everything?
So, you know, kudos to our partners at the Commissioners of Public Works and Duke Energy. You know, CPW had to put in about 2,000 hours during the recent ice storm. So now our task begins. People are starting to put all the debris out on the road, and so we are behind. We're working out, I think, in Avondale subdivision most recently, but we're a good week to 2 weeks behind, and so folks can expect to see that debris sit there for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But we're putting in extra hours. We're going to be working crews on Saturday to get it removed.
Well, you know, I just think it's good that although it was bad for the amount of time that people had outages, I still think it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, talking to CPW, this is the worst storm the city has seen since the early 90s as far as power outages and things of that nature. So it could have been. I didn't have power for 3 days. Personally, didn't have power for 3 days, and my pipes froze too. So it was a great week.
It's nothing like the city manager having problems too.
So I was going to work unshowered, just ready to go.
Yeah. So, but at least we have made it through, and we certainly aren't competing with Boston for the amount of snow that they have up there.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I like living in the South.
Yeah, me too. So we've got a lot of good things to talk about. You know, you are getting ready to start the market, huh?
Yeah, been a long journey. I was going back through some of the notes and files and presentations that we had back in 2011 to get to this point, and so it's exciting that we're hopefully 30-45 days away from construction starting over there at the market. So.
Now, how is this being paid for?
Great question. The initial study that was done back in 2011 was paid with hospitality taxes. We thought with a plan we could then leverage private dollars, and that was able to secure $250,000 from the Rasmussen Foundation. The Self Family Foundation has also put up over $100,000 to help fund the market manager for 3 years. The balance of the project will be paid from local hospitality tax dollars. That's the 2-cent tax that we all pay on food and beverage in the city. So we think that the project will be anywhere from 3.2 to 3.5 million in hospitality taxes. Now that's everything. That's the parking lots that have already been built, the new lighting that's been put in, the landscaping, the interactive water feature splash pad, and then the market structure of the restrooms. That's everything.
Okay, this is great. Now, how do we get our dollars back out of this?
And that's a very good question. In the article that was in the Index Journal today, I think I tried to extrapolate on that point. What we hear from a lot of our young professionals are these are the things that they are looking for: the fresh, the local, the market, the hip, the fun things that are going on. And so we're hopeful that we can drive business. We've got a number of spaces that are still vacant in the Uptown. We've got 15 condominiums under construction. We have a vacant Inn on the Square. So if all of those things come to fruition and we see, then hopefully the Uptown market had played a role in bringing some of that back.
Yeah. So are we trying to be like Greenville?
No.
I mean, you know, it just seems like the young, the hip, yeah, sounds like Greenville to me.
No.
You're going to put a baseball park down there?
No.
We have one right there at Landon, right,
no,
yeah.
No, it's the same model. There's no question that Greenville, you know, has the same model that we're using. I mean, it's you focus on anchors. Greenville's anchor originally was the Hyatt, then the Peace Center, and they have built around those anchors Falls Park. Ours is the same concept, just on a much smaller scale. We're building around the Arts Center. We're hopeful that will continue to drive small business. And on the square, we would love to see a hotel back there. And we think the market will have a play in residential living in the downtown.
Now, just for the record, what is the status with the Inn on the Square?
Sure,
you knew I was going there when you kept bringing it up.
I get that question in just about every meeting I'm in. You know, nobody more than me would love to see a flourishing Inn on the Square, and so it still is vacant. The owners are still out of Florida. We're still in contact with them. They are just trying to make the numbers work. They are in discussions with a new possible tenant that we're trying to start something. So we'll see if that pans out. But you know, I truly believe you know, as things start picking up, there's a lot of activity over the Textile building. If those condominiums sell, the market gets up and going. The Inn on the Square becomes more attractive to be operating.
Now, when will the textile building, what is the time frame on that?
I don't know. I think that they had slowed construction over the last few months. I understand that they're just about ready to submit the final plans. We haven't seen the plans as far as how the condominiums are going to be laid out, but here in the last 2 weeks I have seen tremendous amount of ramp up. We've seen cranes and sheetrock and stuff going in, so a lot of activities getting ready to happen there.
Now, on the first floor, that's going to be retail?
Yeah, Howard Corley sectioned out his building and purchased the main floor and the upstairs, and so he is completing renovations. We're here, and he'll be reopening soon. I've done a quick walkthrough. I mean, if you've been to Howard, you're going to love it. The restrooms, the new menu, we're very excited for all that Howard's done. And as from what I've seen, maybe 2 to 3 retail spaces there on the bottom. That would front out on the green space that the city built in the fountain area.
Sure.
There on Oak Street. So that's very exciting because right now, honestly, we don't have a lot of Main Street space available. Most of it is filled.
Sure. I think there is the one bigger place next to
the County Bank. Excuse me, the former Bank of America space. We need to get it filled, and then the space there that was where Western Carolina was is vacant. And then the place where Gentleman's Choice was a number of years ago. You may remember that. It's still vacant.
Yeah. So
there's a few.
There is a few, and then I guess going down Maxwell, there's a
still a
space
few.
or two. Yeah.
Still a few. Yeah. So.
Well, it certainly has changed, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been exciting, but it never ends. You've got to continuously improve and become better.
Now, you know, when you're talking about changing and moving things forward and everything, one of the other questions I would think is, as you have more people in the uptown area, we're going to need more maybe police, foot patrol?
We haven't noticed that to this point, but well, you know, when we have our events, we obviously ramp up with our patrols, but you know, uptown is very safe, and so, but we will continue to address that on an ongoing basis.
Sure. Well, you are getting ready, though, to hire some more police, aren't you, for the new Walmart that's coming in?
We alluded to that with City Council. We're probably, the Walmart will be opening sometime this summer, July, August, and so you have to be prepared for that. I mean, you're adding 150,000 square feet of retail space. The current Walmart is in the county, so we're not used to that call volume. So we've got to ramp up for that. But, you know, we brought it to City Council as a, you know, this is because Walmart, but really it's because of retail growth and hospitality growth as a whole. We're expecting a number of new restaurants, new grocery store just down from you here on the bypass. So there's a lot of infill, a lot of activity, and so we've got to make sure that we provide the services that the public expects.
Sure. Well, we've got a lot to talk about. As you can see, we're already off and running here, and so far we're doing great here. If you got a question or a comment, give us a call, 229-7984. That's 229-7984. Let's hear a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Oh, that's right. We are right back here, Shark Passage Gallery. We are with City Manager Charlie Barrineau. Well, gosh, Charlie, how long have you been in Greenwood now? When did you come?
I am getting ready to go into my 16th year.
16th year.
Yeah.
So that was, what, 1999?
Yeah, 99, 2000.
Yeah.
I'm starting to really get gray hair.
Well, my point was, there's been so many changes
Yeah.
since that period. I mean, we're talking 16 years, and
Yeah.
it really is exciting, isn't it?
It is. You know, I love Greenwood. Don't have any aspirations to go anywhere else. It's great for my family. The schools are great for our kids. You know, we're close to our families in other parts of South Carolina and Georgia. So this is home.
Yeah. Well, I just was thinking it's been a good time here. So when you're talking, we were just talking about the footprint, you know, putting more police on. That's a possibility. I didn't realize that the new Walmart was in the city. I'm actually own some property that's in the county on this same 25 bypass. Right. And then you were just telling me that Walmart, though, is in the county.
The existing Walmart is in the county.
Yeah.
It's probably the biggest frustration that we have to deal with. Folks don't understand the service delivery aspect, and it really doesn't make any sense. There's got to be a better way to do it, but unfortunately, the way the state statutes are set up, we really can only bring you into the city if you want to. So our ability to grow is very limited. You
kind of have to grow around things then, really.
Or incentivize it to come in, and we have become very aggressive with our incentives because, you know, if you don't get it in, it's never coming in. Lowe's is a great example of that. 15 years ago, the incentive package that was given for that development, you could have chosen not to do it and said, well, we're not going to give up anything, but it would have been sitting in the county today, and so the incentive package was paid off 5 years ago.
Sure.
You know, so you kind of have to do it.
Now, Publix is in the city.
It is.
It is the city.
It is.
And
it was an annex. We had to work hard to get it in the city.
Sure. Now, but they have several places still open. Is there retail, do you know, that's coming in there?
I met with the owner in the last few weeks, and I know that he is working diligently. I think they're on the front side. I know he's got a restaurant coming.
Yes.
I can't remember what the sandwich.
The sub place, yeah. Joe's something sub place.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. That's coming. But the rest of the places back there.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Oh, I'm sure, but I don't think.
I'm not aware of any names that are coming.
Names that are coming in. Yeah. Well, are you aware of any names that are coming into town? Ann Eller's right here. Okay, any names that you might be able to tell us about?
Well, I mentioned the grocery store next to you, Save a Lot, and
right.
You know, we're excited about that. And again, the reason, and you may say, well, I'm never going to shop at that Save a Lot, Charlie, and that's okay. But the reason that is so exciting is that building has been vacant longer than I've lived here. So, you know, pushing 20 years, there's been nothing there.
Right.
So it's exciting to see infill in some of these old buildings. But yeah, the rumor has been out about Panera Bread. We are expecting Panera to open a store here in Greenwood, there in front of the Greenwood Mall. Chick-fil-A, we do expect them to build a drive-through restaurant. They have announced that, and so that'll be exciting. I know my children will be at the playground there at Chick-fil-A probably daily. But I'm trying to think other projects that are on the horizon. Ulta is under construction there,
right.
Next to Old Navy. So
yeah, I saw the steels up on that one.
Yeah,
but it's not connected. It's separate building.
No,
yeah,
same owner as the Old Navy there, but it's not connected.
Not connected.
And we're meeting with other projects, so this year is going to be just as busy, if not busier, and I think 2016 is going to be the same. It's just there's a lot of activity, and that's good because you know before the last little bit of activity in 2014, but you know 2013 to 2009 to 2013 it was very slow.
Sure.
Very slow.
And of course I just saw where the county is wanting to purchase some property out on 25 for a industrial park.
Yeah, so again, I don't want to speak too much on
Sure.
that because that's their effort, but have been involved in some of those meetings, and that has been a long process. The Partnership Alliance engaged a site consultant many years ago to actually say where is the best place to put a new site.
Sure.
And so based on the strategy of where everything is growing, the closeness to Greenville, the closeness to 385, the closeness to the airport, the site consultant said, this is the area you've got to buy land if you're going to build an industrial park. So I've seen some comments from people, well, why there? That is the reason. The site consultants who study these properties all over the world say, Greenwood County, if you're focusing, this is where you've got to focus.
Sure, and we need some properties. I know they put out a plea for people to go ahead and invest in Greenwood and build some spec buildings.
Yeah. And that's a big challenge, especially in a slower market, but it's coming back. Spec buildings tend to be what gets looks. It gets boots on the ground. If you don't have a property available, then nobody's going to come and look. Many times just you get a look and they'll say, oh, well, what about this property over here?
Sure.
If you hadn't had that building, they wouldn't even look. So,
and the other problem is that what manufacturers are looking for today is different from like the old mills.
Right.
People always say, well, what about this building, or what about these buildings out on South Main and everything?
Right. And the reality is they're wanting to be up like that. Decisions are made so quickly, and they want to be up and operating. They want to know they've got water, sewer. You can't just, well, we'll get it to you. No, it's already got to be there before they'll even look.
Yeah. And I think this thing about 30-foot ceilings is a big issue as far as that goes.
Sure.
So for those that would like to invest in Greenwood, what a great idea.
Yeah. Come on.
Go on.
Greenwood's growing.
It is growing. It is growing. In fact, I know on the festival we've got a new topiary.
40, number 40.
How about that?
Yeah. Barbecue.
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 So it's a girl?
I'm assuming it's a she. It is going to be brought to us by Carolina Pride, and it is a pig. And so I saw Barbie Sunday in the greenhouse, and she's looking great, starting to flower out. So it'll be exciting to bring a new topiary out. I think we'll actually get to see her for the first time publicly at the Symetra golf tournament there. We'll have her out at Stony Point. So.
Wow, that'll be fabulous. Now, how are the topiaries and all doing over
They're doing great. You know, our Ann, we were working Ann hard. Actually, we're trying to drum up volunteers. I think city staff were in the greenhouse Saturday and Sunday. We'll be back
City staff, leaning on them hard, are you, Charlie?
It's all hands on deck this time of the year.
Right.
Those folks work so hard, and you know, it's amazing all the stuff that you've got to worry about with the greenhouse. It's just like another house. You know, when we had the ice storm and the power went out, well, guess what? The power went out on the greenhouse. Well, we had thousands of dollars of plants that had to have heat. And if we had gone another couple of hours, we would have been in a mess.
Wow.
You know, dealing with pests and all the things that they have to do.
Are we still growing? Are we still growing the plants?
We are. They grow from seed. We use cuttings where you cut and then it is above my knowledge of biology, but it's really neat, all the stuff that's going on. And we really enjoy showing off that greenhouse to folks that come into town. We really want to start doing that more, where we give tours and let people really see. This is something to be very proud of.
It is something to be very proud of, and it's very full up in there.
It is.
All right, it's time for South Carolina Radio News. We'll be right back. Don't you go away.
Are you a pirate or a pack rat? Do you have a vacation of a lifetime sitting in the attic? Or a college tuition hung on a wall? Or is a fabulous retirement hidden in your jewelry box? Bring those items to Sharp Facets Gallery. We can establish value and buy from you or sell for you. And so ends another chapter at Sharp Facets Gallery, 72 Bypass, and on the web, sharpfacets.com.
Oh, Oh, that's right. We're right here with Charlie Barrineau. He is the city manager of Greenwood. He is the person that is in the know, and he's sitting across from me this afternoon. So we were just talking a little bit about the Festival of Flowers coming up. Now, you have, y'all take care of the topiaries, and then the chamber takes care of the events. Is that how this is working this year?
Yeah, well, we have a contract pretty much with the topiaries. The festival still owns the topiaries, and they pay us to manage the topiaries through their sponsorship revenue. So it's a good joint agreement. And then we work hand in hand with some of the events, but yes, they mostly handle the events. You know, some like the Bluegrass Festival that occurs in the Uptown, we do a lot to handle that, but beyond that.
Sure. Now, how about as far as the topiaries? They certainly stay out a lot longer now, which I like. Right. I think that's great.
Well, a lot of it has been that we've gotten irrigation to all of them. We don't have to do a lot of hand watering that we did for a number of years. You know, you never know if it gets near 100 degrees a number of days in a row. It's painful for those topiaries. So, but last year we were able to keep them out for 2 solid months, so that was good.
Absolutely. And then, of course, coming right up is the Symetra Tour. That's going to be big dollars here.
Yeah, Stony Point's big event, and so we're excited. A lot of big names coming into town, so hopefully we'll get some good coverage for Greenwood.
You know, that is what it's all about, isn't it? Getting good coverage for Greenwood.
It is. You never know the relationships that you're going to make, that people that make decisions, if they get a positive vibe, will they invest in Greenwood?
And I think that, that's where a lot of good PR happens for future business here in the city. It
does. We have a number of events to bring in business partners and showcase the community. We'll have the topiaries out there at the Symetra Tour. So we do everything we can to roll out the red carpet.
Sure, and there's going to be at least 1, maybe 2 events that'll coordinate with during the week of the Symetra Tour too.
Yeah, there'll be a number of events that'll be brought into the town, into the downtown, trying to get them exposed to the community.
Sure. So now we have the master plan of the lake, since we're talking out there at Stony Point in that area. Now y'all have developed a master plan.
Sure. We have the Uptown Greenwood master plan, and so that master plan was done right at 11 years ago, and since that master plan, well over $20 million of projects have been recommended out of that project and implemented. And so methodical, very, very organized in the way to implement those. And so the same thought is set up with the lake. Can we look at the corridors, improve connectivity? There's been a lot of discussion. We had a young professional focus group that would have loved to have better access. There's a lot of people that say, well, if I don't have a boat, how do I go to the lake?
Right.
There's no access. I want a little public sandbar, and so those are things that will be brought to the county council's forefront.
And how does that benefit, or why should the city be involved in that, since that's actually county property, I would presume?
Oh, sure. Twofold. Anything that's really good for the county typically is good for the city. That is our water source, so we're very tuned in to know that without that water we don't grow. Secondly, folks that come into our region, if they stay out on the lake, fish on the lake, enjoy the lake, typically come into the city and stay and eat in our restaurants and our hospitality. So it's a hand-in-hand relationship.
So that is what the interest is from the city's perspective.
Without question. And the lake has done a very good job to draw retirees in, and so those retirees spend money when they're here. Many of them have second homes and things like that. We've also seen a number of those retirees, professionals, get involved in our community and become volunteers at the Arts Center and the theater and other places like that. So it worked well.
All right, so yes, and we're going to have the 4th of July spectacular coming up, and all these other things coming up out there too. They're really ramping up what they're doing out there at the lake.
Groups like Connect Lake Greenwood and others are really working together to move the lake forward.
Okay, so we're going to have a Great Lake source. We've got the city here. We've got the bypass. Yes, the bypass has businesses on it now, so that's a better thing. That is much better than what we had down at our end. Do you think some of that is the influx of the Walmart at the other end? How do you think it's going to change the traffic and everything?
It'll be interesting. I think that's a lot of people are looking to see. Obviously, the Walmart, in conjunction with the Department of Transportation, is going to be installing an additional red light there for a turn lane. So it'll be interesting. I think that intersection there at Cambridge and the bypass, you probably will see more development occur once the Walmart opens around those four corners. So we'll just have to continue to monitor and watch and make sure that we grow as appropriately as possible.
Now, when you talk about roads, we've got road issues. I mean, how do you think, I mean, there's a lot of discussion about how we're going to get the roads fixed, the coordination between the Department of Transportation and the city and the county. How are y'all approaching the road issue?
Yeah, right now you're hearing just about every day a new plan come out of Columbia.
It all involves a gas tax, by the way.
Yeah. So there's, I think, 3 or 4 plans that have been floated. So it hasn't shaken out yet. There's still a lot of discussion that's got to occur for the House and the Senate. But there are some proposals to send those roads back to here at the local
county
level.
And the city,
the
yes.
county and the city.
How would that work for you, Charlie?
And our challenge with that is it's not, and this is what I remind folks, it's not just simply the road, it's the drainage in that road, it's the grass that grows, it's the signs on that road, it's the liability on that road. The costs just continue to compound, and while we all want to partner, our state doesn't have the greatest track record with the local government fund of making sure that we get the money that we're supposed to here at the local level.
Have you ever gotten your money?
We did up until 2008, and then it kind of curtailed. But
well, I understand they're doing okay down there,
yeah,
now, Charlie.
Yeah. So
are you going to get your money?
If a formula is adopted for roads that says X amount is going to come to the cities and the counties to maintain those roads, we've heard that before, and sometimes it has not worked out so well. So, and unfortunately, the local officials don't have many other options besides raising property taxes, and none of us want to do that.
Well, I think I've had numerous conversations with Mike Pitts and Floyd Nicholson and Billy O'Dell, but the big issue is raising property taxes. Is that really, should we not be looking at the whole tax package?
Right, and what tends to happen, that conversation is such a big elephant, and it's how do you bite that elephant. The meetings I've been in where comprehensive tax reform have been discussed, I mean, you just want, by the end of it, your head is just going around and around.
I like the postcards type tax reform. I think that would be great. Very simple. This is how much you made. This is how much you owe, and forget all the rest of it. Right?
Yeah. So we'll see how it all shakes out. We will be at the table, and we're wanting to keep Greenwood moving forward. So.
How do you think the roads are here in this area?
Driving around the state, being around the state, the side roads and secondary roads and many of the 2-lane roads that connect cities and towns are really starting to show their wear. You can see they're beginning to alligator really bad. That alligatoring is a result of water penetration and the temperatures, and so without maintenance, that then begins to degrade, and then you get the potholes, and then the
then
base.
It becomes even harder to fix it.
You
more
got to
expensive.
repair the base, and it just never ends. It's frustrating. We went down to Columbia and heard state legislators say, we've got roads that we may never pay in 100 years in the cycle that we have set up, and that's just tough to.
It's hard to swallow.
Hear. It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's hard to explain because if you're in the city, well, you think every road's a city road. Well, really, no. 80% of the roads in the city are state roads.
We have the 4th largest state road system in the whole United States.
Yeah.
I think that is phenomenal, particularly when you think about states like Texas.
Well, money used to be calculated on per mile, the number of miles you had, and so states just gobbled up the roads because the money was flowing. Well, guess what? The formula got changed. And
Yeah,
So,
that's what happened.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about taxes, there's been a lot of discussion about changing business licenses. This is a big issue, and you know, they're talking about making it a flat fee.
Right.
They're talking about calculating, or right now I think we calculate it on gross.
Gross.
There's been some talk about making it on net.
Right.
And then there's some talk about calculating it on the number of employees that
Right.
one has.
Right.
And then I guess there's also the footprint, the size of the business would be a possibility.
Right.
What does all this mean?
Yeah, you've got to be very careful and really look at numbers. Representative Rick Quinn, I think, has proposed the flat fee proposal. And the flat fee, it sounds great, you know, to say to anybody, would you like to pay less business license? Well, heck yeah, that's your answer's going to be yes.
Absolutely.
But the discussion is not that simple. Here in the city, the business license tax brings in about $3.2 million. And
Well,
so,
then we're overtaxed. That's
Yeah.
all there is to it, Charlie.
Yeah, that is, you know, close to the value of our fire department. So without that business license, we would have no fire department.
Well, I think that's a hard argument to make because everybody in their taxes pays for fire and water and these types
Sure.
of things. So it's all broken out on everybody's
Sure.
taxes.
Sure. But the proposal, Representative Quinn, I think he wants to have a flat $100 fee. Again, sounds great, but so what you're saying, the way I understand it, if a large grocery store, they could be making into the millions, they would pay a $100 fee, and then the Main Street business would also pay a $100 fee. That just doesn't seem to me to be the way it needs to be set up. Right now, it's set up on a scale, and so you're paying based on the volume of revenue that you do. Make more money, your business license is higher. But we want to be at the table. If there are ways, I know that the Municipal Association in Columbia, others, I think the State Chamber, the Home Builders Association have all been trying to sit down, and I'm sure that if there are ways to make improvements, we will do that. I know that one area that has been the large complaint is that different cities charge differently, and so
Sure.
that's what some cities, we as a statewide are trying to work on to streamline the business license process so that it's easier. But we know that's a challenge because, again, you go over into Anderson, they have a different setup than we may have here.
Sure, and a smaller town may have most likely has a very much less business license because they just would like to have people doing business there.
That's right. And some cities aggressively more so enforce their business license, and that then presents challenges. We are in the city of Greenwood. We are trying to find that sweet spot. We're just constantly, the right spot of enough taxes and enough services to make the community good, so that people invest here.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we sure need, we can always use more investment. And, when you look across the state, Charlie, and you look at you were just down there at that municipalities
Sure.
convention down there in Columbia. What did you see in relationship to where Greenwood's at and so many other cities across the state?
Yeah, even more so. I had not been, I was down in a meeting in Mount Pleasant. I had not been to Mount Pleasant in about a decade, and I was blown away at the amount of road growth and development that has been occurring there on the coast. I think what you're seeing is pockets of really strong growth around our urban cores. The Mount Pleasant area, the Somerville, the Greer, those areas are really booming.
Mm-hmm.
What we have seen here in Greenwood is more stable. We have not seen the big spike of growth or the tremendous fall off of growth. And so from a planning standpoint and being able to provide services and pay for those services, schools and the other, that tends to be a little better to manage. Because you know what you have coming. But you go down in the Charleston area, I mean, they're just having to build new school after new school just to keep up with the demand.
Where does Greenwood fall in size across the state?
We've dropped some because of the Mount Pleasants and Somerville's moving up into the top. The last I checked, we were somewhere around the 17th, 18th largest city in the state. I think Greer, if not, they're very close. I think Greer's now past us.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
It is.
and it used to be that we were around 6, 7, 8 largest city in the state. So you can see how these suburbs of Lexington
Right.
and Mount Pleasant and Greer that used to be, farms have now just exploded in growth.
Sure. And I guess that's why when you talk about dollars coming back from the state, it's hard because dollars are ending up down there on the coast.
Yeah.
Particularly the roads and all these projects, which makes it hard for us to get what we need in our area.
Yeah. It's all a big web, a big puzzle.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hear a quick word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. Don't you go away. You got a question for Charlie? We're almost to the top of the hour, but give us a quick call. 229-7984. That's 229-7984. That's right. 4:55 in the afternoon, and the sun is shining. I guess that means we'll get to see it actually set. It's been so long since you can actually say the sun has set because it's just been dark and gloomy and everything. It's nice to see the sun out.
Spring.
Absolutely. And I guess the flowers are going to be as beautiful as ever in Uptown Greenwood.
Yeah, I saw tens of thousands of flowers, seedlings and other things in our greenhouse starting to grow. So we are getting ready to put those out in all of our public spaces. West Cambridge Park, South Main, wherever we keep flowers maintained.
Well, you've got. I do want to talk a little bit about the trains in Uptown Greenwood. That project really is going to be a huge project.
It is. The historical rolling stock that the museum owns, the 7 railroad cars, it is very special. Those are a number of unique cars that we think can be a huge destination stop for Greenwood. Train followings are big. I know that my 3 boys love trains, and so I think that we can really create a regional statewide draw with that train facility. Right now what we're in is the environmental challenges that were there. The trains were full of asbestos and lead paint, and so City Council put up hospitality tax dollars. The museum helped us leverage some state heritage corridor funds. We've had a number of private grants that had been given, and so we're remediating that asbestos, removing it. And then we have hired an environmental firm out of North Carolina that's doing sponge jet technology, and it's basically this big jet vacuum that I don't know what it is they're blowing, but they blow it on the exterior and interior of the metal surfaces, and it removes all the rust and all the lead and all the problems on the metal, and sucks all that bad stuff up into a vacuum. And so every component of those 7 trains is going to be receiving sponge jet improvement.
Sounds special. Sounds almost like a spa treatment.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They've got all kind of containment tents around all the trains and trying to keep all that on site. So, but
eventually, it's going to maybe return to with a.
It's still going to take some time. So we've secured enough money to do all the environmental abatement and get a new solid, hopefully 20-year coat of paint on the interior and exterior of the cars, but they're still vacant. So they're not going to have chairs, they're not going to have furnishings, they're not going to have decor and interactive things that tell the train stories. And so now we're going to have to secure funding to move to that next phase of making the trains presentable.
Well, it's going to be. Well, how long a project then? What are we talking about?
Well,
in my lifetime.
Well,
Ann, we're not sure about your life.
I'm shocked at how far that we've been able to come. But no, I would say in the next couple of years, I think that the trains will be open. I just don't want people to overestimate what we're not there yet. We've got a ways to go. I think there's hopefully a long-term plan to remove the house that's there, and a vision was brought forth to maybe build a replica depot on the site. So it's exciting for the south end of town to receive that facelift.
Absolutely. I think it's great. Well, you know, you're listening to WCRS right here in Greenwood. Wanted to ask you a couple more questions. How's the Festival of Discovery, since that's your big barbecuing project?
Yeah, wide open. I think we've already got probably maybe 10 to a dozen teams signed up, but barbecue is just exploding across the country.
And what else is neat is it's exploding across the whole state of South Carolina, and the South Carolina tourism with their barbecue tour and everything that goes on.
There's a lot of branding, a lot of marketing. You know, all you have to do is go into the grocery store, and it used to be a few little sauces, but now explosive growth of sauces and rubs, and so here we are, Greenwood Festival Discovery, right in the middle of all of it. We'll have the top competitors from around the country. Trying to get our first international competitor. We'll see if we can pull that off. So,
international?
Yeah. These guys are all over the world.
So from what country?
The one that we're trying is Canada. So,
Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought if you were bringing someone over from England, I'd be right jolly impressed here, Charlie.
They're there. Some of the teams that have been here with us actually go to competitions in London and all of. I mean,
they do.
Oh, they do. Barbecue is big money.
It's not an American deal.
No. They have competitions all over the world.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, you've got the Festival of Discovery, and of course the Blues Cruise is going to be bigger than ever.
Yeah, we've been working with Gary. It will be bigger than ever. We've got new venues this year. So the opening of Uchi E and Cafe 312. So that adds 2 venues to the Greenwood Blues Cruise, and so Gary's already working hard at it, getting our lineup ready for our 15th year.
15th year. Yeah. Who would have thought that the first year with 3 or 4 teams and all that we have here now?
Never.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Well, you know, it always is a pleasure to have you come in and sit down and talk to us about what's going on. One last thing, you've got Uptown Live is getting ready to start.
April 16th kicks off.
Day after tax day. Isn't that great?
That's right. New location, Oregon Avenue. So come on out on Oregon Avenue. I think the Root Doctors, Columbia's Root Doctors, kick it off on the 16th.
Now, just out of curiosity, why have we moved it over there to Oregon?
You
don't get to see it.
Yeah, safe for space. I think safety was a lot of it. That way that you're not adjoining the traffic there on Main Street. You know, you're really kind of tucked in the unique architecture of the buildings back there. And then this gives some flexibility with the alcohol, and so folks can also drink beer and wine there in front of the band and enjoy it there.
So how do you judge how well Uptown Live is doing?
A lot of it is just feedback. I mean, we read the feedback on social media. We try to get aerial looks of how many people are there. We look at the photography. A lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of it is sponsors. If we can get sponsors, we know that it's working. The times when it's been hard to get sponsors, we've known we've got to change something. So
is it working to have sponsors then?
It is working. We've got sponsors.
Okay. All right. That's good. And then you have changed from the standpoint you'll do it in the spring and early summer, correct?
Yeah. So we started that last year. So there'll be 4 concerts in April and May, and then 4 concerts in September and October.
Okay.
So it's a spring and fall series.
And it's free.
It just got too hot.
It's free.
It's free.
It's free. That's a great deal. Charlie Barrineau, always a pleasure to have you come sit down with me.
Always great to be here.
All right. That's going to do it for us. This is WCRS right here in Greenwood. Bye-bye, everybody.